Hi guys, it's me, Tiffany. Hadn't talked to you in a long time, so I want to let you know what is going on in my garden. Here, the temperatures have been warming up a bit. It's still chilly at night, but definitely warmer during the day. And buds are starting to break, so I just want to show you what things look like before. First thing I want to talk about is the pawpaws. So if you look back here, you see my row of pawpaws. I have pruned those quite heavily. I brought them down about, I'm going to say, some 4 feet, some 6 feet. Let's look closer. So here's a more up close look of one that I pruned. I do want to say I am not an expert in pruning trees, so just take this with a grain of salt. What I do is I cut pretty well the ends off to bring it in. So what happens is, if you notice, the buds are on the ends of the limbs. So what this tree just does is keeps continually pushing out and out and out and out, and that's where your buds are going to be. Well, sooner or later, your tree is going to be extended past where you want it to be. So that's why I had to chop them severely so that I could bring them all in. These were kind of coming out here. You can see my gardens over here, right? So I can't have these keep continuing to go out this way. So I kind of brought them back in. And you can see I did leave myself some buds so that I could get a little bit of fruit. It won't be a whole lot. And what'll happen is these will start growing again and going out and out and out and out. And once they get closer to my garden, I'll whack them back again. So I am in the process of renewing my mound garden. What do I mean by renewing? Well, if you look, like for instance, right here where the wood shavings are, that was there last year. And you can see that when I put organic material in there, the organic material decomposes and the garden kind of compacts and just gets flatter and flatter. And then my mounds don't look like mounds anymore. You can see the bags in the back. I'm adding, that is chicken and cow compost mixed together. I will also get organic material as it becomes available and put on top as well. So the first thing you can see in my garden is a bunch of garlic. Now you'll look and there'll be holes in here, and even in the back there's just a lot of big holes there. And the reason is I had onions planted and the Arctic blast came and killed most of my onions. So what I ended up doing is I replanted onions, and you can see all around here, these are onions that I have planted recently within the past month. And it should be about 140 onions, I think. Hopefully they'll do well. You can see that I have my hoops here. I'm going to say a week ago, it got down to about 25, and that shouldn't kill these onions, but this is the second time that I've planted onions, and I'm not going to play around with it. I'm going to protect them. Also in my garden, I have other things planted, but they're not coming up yet. I have potatoes planted, and I finally got a hold of some Sharp O'Meara. A lot of people in Europe really rave about that variety, and that has not been available here in the United States. I got a hold of that, and there are some other varieties here as well. Over here, I've got English peas planted, and I'm also going to plant English peas where those bags of manure are, but I've got to get that kind of set up. So this and that, those are my two mulberry plants. These were planted last year. The one on the left is a dwarf ever-bearing mulberry. I'm not really sure what the one on the right is. I'm kind of hoping it's like a Shangri-La or Pakistani mulberry. But I don't care, just as long as it's good. I want to bring you in a little closer so you can see that even though it's not officially spring, everything's starting to push out. So right here is mostly mulberries. In the black tote over here, there are blackberries. My blackberries have been doing horribly. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but these were almost dead. And so I dug them up, put them in a tote, and we'll see. I'll be honest, blackberries aren't my favorite crop. So, if they don't make it, I'm not going to cry about it. But anyway, let's look in closer at some of the blueberries. So here we have a Kruger blueberry, and you can see that the fruit buds are pushing, and also you can see the little leaves are starting to come out as well. So in the back of my blueberries are two persimmons. This is a persimmon, and there's another persimmon on the other side. The persimmons have not started breaking bud yet. Like, there's no evidence that they're pushing out yet, which is good, because our last frost date is April the 12th, and I don't want these to get too hurried and then start blooming and producing fruit, and then we get another freak freeze. So we're looking inside my greenhouse. You can see that what mainly remains in here are dragon fruit. There's one over here as well, and there's some pineapples back there. I also have my Barbados cherry. It looks really bad. We'll see if that comes back out. I don't think it's dead, but this is a tropical plant, and I really think it's not happy. But this is my first year growing it, and we'll see if it comes back out for me. So these are some of the citrus that I took out of the greenhouse. The plan from now on is to leave them outside the greenhouse. The temp should not get much below 30 degrees, and these plants can actually take that. It was 35, I think, last night. And so what I did is I got this frost cloth, and I'll just put that over them when it gets too cold at night, and then take it off. Now, of course, if we get a really hard and cold frost, they're going right back in the greenhouse with a heater. So the stuff that you see here are things that were left from the Arctic blast. You can see that my Brussels sprouts made it through. The purple Brussels sprouts are just heading. I'm really excited about these right here. This is my first time growing Brussels sprouts that actually look like Brussels sprouts. I'm kind of proud of that. You see this bed right here, that was left from the Arctic blast as well. Over here on the left hand side, those are collards. They look good. They're a bit stunted, but they look good. There are a few Asian greens called Chiji Masai, like right here. And then all the way on the outside edge out there, that's broccoli. They look very stunted. I don't think they're going to do anything. But I don't really have any plans for this bed until maybe May. So they can just hang out, and we'll see what they'll do. The Arctic blast totally obliterated my carrots. Here in the tote is what was my carrot crop. It is pitiful. One thing I learned from the Arctic blast is that I need to plant my fall crops earlier. Like, they need to be in the ground at the beginning of August. Most things I put in the ground towards the end of August, a few things in September. And what had happened is they didn't really produce before it got too cold. And so they slowed down, and they were trying to produce, but then the Arctic blast came and put an end to the whole thing. So I need to plant maybe about a month earlier than I am. And the goal is to get the crops to put out their fruits, leaves, whatever I'm trying to get by, I'm going to say, the end of October, beginning of November, because then I have colder weather, but it's not Arctic blast type weather. If I wait until December and January, it's too late in December and January to expect these to produce their crops. So I planted strawberries in a little strawberry area, and they're looking great. They've been out here all winter, Arctic blast and all. They've done fine. And now I'm noticing that they're starting to put out leaves. And if you look in the center, this is all flowers wanting to be. So I should hopefully have a good crop of strawberries. So I put a few of my citrus here on my porch. The reason being is that they're really big to be moving in and out. And since they're on the porch on the south side and against the house, that will help them in the cold nights. And honestly, if push came to shove, I could pull these into my house. One thing I want to show you and talk about is this tree kind of over here in the corner. A neighbor gave that to me years ago, and she's flowered about 3 times and never produced fruit. Well, I want to get closer and show you what she's about to do this year. So, if you look in the corner right here, you see there are a bunch of little balls. Those balls are flower buds forming. So let me move to another section in this tree, just panning up right here, and you can see balls. Those are flower buds. Here are 2 of the little balls. You can tell that they look kind of like flowers, and these are all over this tree.